Hi there, Rich Lighter here. Welcome to my channel, The Naked Booktuber. Okay, so this is like the fifth or the sixth attempt at my trying to do a free copy of a section of Rembrandt's painting entitled Belshazzar's Feast. The painting depicts, it's from the Old Testament, the book of Daniel. Belshazzar, who's depicted here with the turban and the crown, was a Babylonian king who defiled the Hebrew temple. And he took some of the sacred Hebrew vessels back with him to his banquet hall and had a feast. And this angered the Lord. So in the middle of Belshazzar's revelry, all of a sudden, a hand suddenly appears on the wall of Belshazzar's banquet hall, and it writes something. It writes, many, many tekel upharsin, and Belshazzar doesn't know what that means. He's just stunned by this mysterious hand appearing. He has to call the prophet Daniel to interpret the cryptic words. And Daniel basically says that the Lord was angered and that Belshazzar's kingdom will shortly be coming to an end, and that will be it for Belshazzar. And so Rembrandt was depicting the moment when Belshazzar suddenly sees the mysterious hand of God writing on the wall. In the back of Belshazzar is one of his ladies, one of his courtesans, who's also stunned by the image of God's hand. Now, I did not put, a couple of things here. First of all, I did, as you can see, I did not put in, and if you look at the original painting, I did not put in God's hand on the wall. By the way, this is where we get the expression, the writing on the wall. It's from the Bible. So as you can see, I did not put in the mysterious appearance of God's hand and the heavenly glow about the hand, nor did I put in the Hebrew letters that God writes. Why didn't I do that? Well, I did it like in the first 4 or 5 attempts, and every time I did it, it kind of screwed up the painting for me. Didn't screw it up for Rembrandt, but it screwed it up for me. Whenever I did it, it was like I had 2 different paintings going on. It was like this halo I made was like a circle. I just found it very disruptive. It just didn't work for me when I tried to do the hand of God. First of all, I couldn't draw the hand of God very well. I couldn't draw the heavenly light or the halo around the hand of God. I don't know how Rembrandt did that. I don't know what colors he used. It appears to be white, but who knows what it really was. You know, I'm basically copying an image on a computer screen, so I don't know what Rembrandt did. And it wasn't a unified picture when I did it. And so I kind of settled after the 5th or the 6th try for just doing a study of Belshazzar, forgetting about God's hand and the halo light. I was taking on too much. Okay, it's just a study of the dramatic gesture of Belshazzar. I was very interested. This is the original reason why I did the painting. I was very interested in Belshazzar's golden cloak. I wanted to try to take a stab at understanding how Rembrandt did this. Of course, my cloak is nothing like Rembrandt's. His has an incredible, superhuman amount of detail. It just is different. But anyway, I took a stab at the gold. I kind of have a sense of what happened. Excuse the wire there. And I realized that yellow ochre has a great deal of importance in painting. The painting of the old masters, and in particular in painting gold. Here is Belshazzar's gold cloak. Up close. Yeah. Okay. Like I say, it doesn't look like the original, but it does look like a golden cloak. I'll give myself that much. Took me a heck of a long time just to do that. I also liked his the clasp in the middle of his cloak. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay. So I also liked. So I did that. I liked that. Here's the cuff of his cloak, which I don't like as much. The cuff. And below the cuff is the head of another courtesan, which is cut off because, like I say, I only did part of the painting. And underneath the cloak is, I had to decide what color combinations to use. I decided on a rich red. Now, what I do like about the cloak also are a couple of things. I like the clasp here, and I like the way I filled in the area below the clasp, my color combos. I thought that was very, very, striking. I simplified, of course, and stylized his tunic, I guess you call it, above the cloak, with these white and these blue curvy lines. There was a great deal of shading and depth and realism. When Rembrandt did it, I kind of made it more stylized. Here's his courtesan. I like the courtesan the best in the whole picture, actually, because I love her look of, I don't know what you'd call it, horror also, at this image, which is supposed to be appearing on the wall. Now, let's talk about Belshazzar's face. Belshazzar's face took me a very, very long time to do. The turban was hard to give it a sense of depth, I guess you call it. I worked on the face. I kept thinking it was done and it wasn't done. Let me just give you a close-up and show you what I mean. Now, the whole thing with this picture is the expression on Belshazzar's face. He's completely stunned at what he's seeing when he looks at this mysterious hand appearing. So you want to get the eye right. The eye has to kind of be bulging out of the socket almost. That took me a while, and to get that little glint in the eye. The other thing that I found very difficult with the face was to get enough light. Remember, even though you can't see it in my particular painting, remember there's a heavenly light appearing on the wall, and that radiance is reflected in Belshazzar's face. And I had a lot of trouble getting enough yellow and white light on his face to show that there's a great light that's not seen in the painting, which is being reflected on his nose and on his cheek, at the bridge of his nose, and on his cheek just below his eye, between his eye and his mustache. Those two areas, I kept on adding more and more yellow and white until I felt that I had enough of it to show that it was to suggest a reflection of light from an object that Belshazzar was beholding. I think I finally got it. There's some yellow also on the turban. But the main thing is that took me a while to do. It's pretty credible now. It took me a long time to work on this beard. The beard was too light. I didn't want to make it too dark and have it look like an artificial beard that was glued onto his face. So that took me a while to sort of feel it out. The turban, like I say, could be better, but you do get a sense of depth. I do like his crown a lot. What else can I tell you? I like his jewel, the bejeweled crown. I like that. That's kind of credible. Yeah, gives you a nice suggestion of a jewel there. Yeah, and also I had a lot of trouble with the putting enough light on his neck as well. And right over here, right over there, below his chin, that little sliver of yellow on his skin, and to the left by his ear, and below on his neck and below his neck, I kept adding more and more yellow, like a greenish yellow. It's really yellow, to try to give that suggestion of sunlight or being reflected on his body. And I just had to feel my way, and it was a very slow process to do that. Now, the hand. Now, I've been trying to work on doing hands, and that's another reason why I was interested in this painting. The hand gesture here is just killer. You know, I mean, you can't find a more dramatic gesture for a hand, right? He's like trying to ward off something. So I think that was credible. I could make the fingernails a little whiter, a little more. Again, the suggestion that light is being reflected off of them. Let me see if I can give you a close-up of that, of his light. Yeah, here are his fingers. It's credible. When I first worked on the hand, the distance between, excuse me, the distance between the thumb and the forefinger was much greater. It looked like a claw. So it took me a while to adjust the distance, to give a suggestion of the cup of the palm. I think I pulled it off. I'm getting better at hands. And of course the hand is also, the fingers are reflecting the light that's not seen in the picture, the light of God. Oh, by the way, this painting is done in acrylic. Aside from the fact that I don't have the space to work in oils, and apart from the concerns about fumes, toxic fumes, using oil paints, I mean, I paint these, to paint this in oil, these dabs of paint, this would have taken me, I don't know, anywhere from 6 months, maybe longer, to dry. Unless I used maybe a cicative, a drying agent, which is extremely toxic. It would have taken a long time. And like I say, I did like 5 or 6 versions of this. I just, the way that I did it, I just don't think I could have done it with oils at all. It would have been just, technically, it would have been a disaster. Now, let's talk about the most important thing. Why, Rich, did you paint this with these strokes like this? These strokes, these broken strokes surrounding the figure of Belshazzar. These broken strokes here, right? Well, that's a fair enough question. Why didn't I just copy the damn picture the way I saw it on WikiArt or on the website of the National Gallery of London? Okay? Well, I tried. I tried to do that. I mean, it's a very, the way that the original picture portrays it, Belshazzar's hall, it's very dark. It's like a grayish color, smoky, dark. I did it several times, but I just didn't like it. It was just dull. I'm sure it's quite eye-catching when you look at the original painting, but I wasn't able to get it. I don't know what colors he used. I mean, again, you're copying a two-dimensional image on a computer screen. I can't see what layers are below the top layer by looking at a computer screen. And and each different image from each website I went to has a slightly different tint. So the notion of trying to do an exact copy in certain paintings it's just not possible. And I got frustrated. I kept trying to work on the smoke. I used the yellow ochre, my little trick of yellow ochre and ultramarine blue and white. That makes a nice rich smoky gray. And you can modulate it. You can make it more blue if you add more ultramarine or more ochre-y. Excuse me. More ochre-y if you add more ochre. So I tried that several times. What can I tell you? I sure as heck am not Rembrandt. Okay, so then I got frustrated and I just kept on experimenting. I just wanted a background which was interesting and pleasing to look at. And for some strange reason, the background went through several stages as well. First, I tried doing the whole background in kind of a dark blue, like a phthalo blue. But that was too grim and too monotonous. And then I thought, let me add some red to it. You can see the red here, the patch of red that I added. And I says, well, that just looks kind of stupid now. It's kind of looking like some kind of contemporary crazy painting. I didn't want that either. And then just at an impulse, I decided to put these, to give it a sense of unity, I decided to put these slashes of white mixed with ultramarine blue on the left side of the canvas. And I really like the effect. I really like the way it highlights the courtesan. And I love the way I left some, I didn't do the whole left side of the canvas. I left that very, very dark, I think it's ultramarine blue or phthalo blue by his turban to highlight his turban, the outline of Belshazzar. So I did leave some, and I really like this effect very, very much. It's not really busy when you look at it from a distance. It kind of looks like, almost like the weave of a fabric, perhaps, It was a very interesting effect. Now, as I say, this part of the painting, I was so into trying to get the hand of God and the halo and the writing on the wall. They looked like two separate paintings. You had this painting on with these slashes on the left, and then you had all this other stuff on the right, which is totally unrelated. It was not a unified painting at all. I committed the cardinal sin. I didn't let the painting speak to me. I decided to impose my own ideas on what the painting should look like, instead of just letting the painting dictate to me what it should look like. And what the painting really told me was that I was biting off more than I could chew with trying to do the hand of God and the halo around it and the lettering. They just looked like I'm putting two different paintings in one painting. It was very disjointed. And I finally, after the sixth try, said, I'm biting off too much. Let me just do a study of Belshazzar, as I said at the beginning of this video. I started off with this kind of like slashed pattern of white strokes. Excuse me. Not enough coffee. And I liked the effect. So if you did it on this side of the painting and you liked what happened, why don't you do the same thing on this side of the painting to give it a sense of unity? Took me like 6 tries to realize that, Don't worry, I said to myself finally, about trying to be Rembrandt. Just try to make a pleasing picture that has some kind of a unity to it. So then I finally made the right side of the painting the background in the same vein as the right side, left side. Okay, so it's unified now. It's not crazy. The strokes are, in a way, they're kind of controlled strokes. And they may look haphazard at first, but when you look at it, it really serves to highlight the image, the outline, the silhouette of Belshazzar. Right above his arm, his outstretched arm, right above his cloak, I left a little bit of blue also to really outline the body the image of Belshazzar to stand out in the picture. So I did that, and I like looking at it. I'm not saying it's the greatest painting in the world. I'm not saying that maybe I could have used a different tack. I could have had all solid colors for the background. I wanted something that wasn't monotonous. And I don't know. I like this, and I think I'm going to just leave it like this. I'm just going to say this is a study of Belshazzar. You look at the painting from afar and you immediately see an image of a person, okay? And there's a background on either side of him. In a way, it's kind of simple. The eye isn't taken in by all this. It looks superficially busy with these strokes, but it's not from a distance. It is kind of a unified painting. I did try to be as calculating as I could and strategic as I could about putting these brush marks in the background. And the other thing about this painting is that I basically tried to stick to a red, yellow, and dark blue color combination. I wanted to keep it simple, as much simple as I could. So basically the background, more or less, is blue. Then you have the cloak, his golden cloak, which is basically yellow. And then you have these patches every once in a while of red. Okay? You got the red here in the cloak, offset against the yellow and the blue. So primary colors. I use that as my model. Same thing here. Basically, her outfit below her hair is a blue, ultramarine blue. Then you got a little red. Yeah, so I tried to have some kind of a logic to the painting. I tried to use that as my guide in what I did. It's true that the cloak is not like a pure yellow. It's a yellow ochre with some yellow in it. But basically, it's a primary color combination, which I find striking. This painting is 26 inches in height and I think 56 inches in width. And boy, it was a headache. I am not very good at doing large paintings because most of the time I am just concerned about filling up the space. I'm more concerned about the quantity instead of the quality of the painting. And the other thing about having a large painting like this is that you want to make a change in the painting. Boy, oh boy, you got to use a lot of paint to make your changes. When you have a small painting, 18 by 24 or something, it's not that big a deal. I feel like I have more freedom to experiment. With this thing, every change you make is a major thing. A lot of paint used in this. Yeah, actually, in this part of the painting, where the hand of God was appearing in all these previous versions, I built up so much paint I actually had to take it out to my basement yesterday and sand it down to make it smooth again. It was way too rough to even apply any paint. So I did that. I don't know, I mean, I'm looking at the painting right now. I'm looking at the painting right now, and I'm just looking at it, and I like it. It's striking, and to my way of seeing it, it's kind of simple. It's a main image of a king, and in the distance, one of his ladies, and you got your background. The background is not a completely monotonous, monotone color. It's a broken color, but it's basically background. So that's it. Let me give you one more view of this part of it. Yeah. No, I think that the face, I think the face is very good, you know. And well, aside from the courtesan, the thing I like best about it is the cloak. I love this below. Again, these are not Rembrandt's colors, obviously. I did my own thing, but it's striking. It's forceful. It's dramatic. I like it. And I do like the fact that I stylized his tunic above the cloak with those curvy blue lines. Again, just white and ultramarine blue. I use very specific colors. I use very few colors, actually, for this painting. So that's it, I think. This is my freehand copy of a section of Rembrandt. You know, it's very funny about my copies of old masters, my stabs at copies. Some of them I can actually use kind of the same color combinations that the old masters used. I mean, you know, I look at a self-portrait of Dürer, and one of his self-portraits, I think at the age of 28, and it's a dark background. It's not black. It looks to me like it's a deep green. I mean, if I were to do that, I think I'd be able to do the painting that would seem to approximate the same colors as a Dürer painting. I've done that with some copies I've done. But there are other copies, and whenever I try to duplicate the colors that are used, the color combinations, the way it looks on the screen, it just doesn't work out. I can do them, but they just are not eye-popping. There's nothing special about them. I don't understand why. So then I'm just experimenting with color combinations, with trying to do it in a different way. I mean, the face, the turban, his golden cloak, I tried to remain as faithful as I could to the original painting, but the rest of it just didn't work out when I tried to remain faithful to it. I guess that's what happens when you're not Rembrandt. I'm sure that there are other artists who could do a copy like I did, and they could make the copy a credible imitation of what they see on the screen of what Rembrandt painted. I can't do it with this painting. It's just very weird to me why I can't do it. And so it's not as if I don't try to duplicate what I'm seeing on the screen. I always try at first. Sometimes I'm able to, and sometimes I can't. And in this one, I just couldn't. And so I'll just settle for having a painting which looks pleasing. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me babble on. No pun intended. Thanks.